But we can get started. So I'll just do a short
Absolutely.
intro and then of course, you can take it ahead. Hi everyone. Thank you so much for joining today's webinar. We're going to get started now. My name is Kimbra and I'm part of the team here at Oxford Professional Education. Just a little bit of housekeeping. I'd just like to note that this webinar is being recorded. And today we have got webinar hosted by Robin, of course, about creating and about using generative AI to create high impact videos. So, Robin, I'll hand over to you now. And if anyone has any questions as well, just please do pop them in the chat. I think Robin will address them as we're going along or potentially at the end. So, yeah, thank you.
Amazing. As always, a glorious introduction. And yeah, this is one of my favorite kind of things where we get to create and build rather than just kind of do with AI. And we ran this session quite a while ago, but things have changed so much since then. And the platform that I'm going to show you to do this, you probably all have access to, and you probably haven't realized its power within video production. Because if you go back onto our YouTube channel and watch the older version of this, the platform that we showcased doesn't exist anymore. Sora does not exist. So it's all about actually taking our skills platform to platform. Because as I spoke about in some of our previous sessions, what would happen if AI was taken away from you tomorrow? We have suddenly put these platforms and processes into our world without recognizing what could potentially happen if that platform we now rely on changes. So this session shows you that if we look back, you go back and look at this same session and then kind of the recording that we had there, that platform does not exist anymore. So we're looking at skills that are transferable between the different platforms, but we still get the same outcome. So even though I am going to do a platform showcase for you today and show you what it can do, what I want you to also recognize is these skills, these prompts, and these processes that we are going through together today to use generative AI to create video, the prompting and the process is the same across any generative AI video platform. Yeah, so don't worry. We're not going to learn it today and then it's going to be gone tomorrow. But we do need to start recognizing that we need to start taking our skills from platform to platform as new things come into the market, as AI regulation changes and compliance changes. Yeah. But today we're going to bring it back. We're going to start talking about AI to create high impact video, and we're going to go from the prompt all the way to production. So when we traditionally think about creating video, what we kind of think about is all of the to do that we have. So we have the setup, the time, the back and forth. When you think about creating or generating video for a campaign, it generally has a really high price tag and a high energy load. Yeah. And we often don't think creatively first. We often, traditionally, when we were creating video for campaigns and things like that, have to really kind of squish our ideas into a budget and into time. And because of that, a lot of ideas just didn't happen, right? And you can see that what we are seeing now is that over the last 2, 3 years, it's not that video became more important realistically, it's that it's actually possible for us all to create high quality campaign material and social media like kind of material incredibly quickly at a low cost. And as soon as you know how to do it, you can replicate that for the next campaign, for the next theme, for the next video need. Yeah. And I would say that generative AI has stripped out a lot of the problems that came with traditional video kind of content because it's removing that friction. So I'm not here today to tell you about video as a strategy. I'm actually kind of explaining to you that video is now much more accessible than it used to be. And we're going to go through kind of taking a really beautiful creative idea and turning it very quickly into content that we can utilize that very same moment. The platform we're going to use can create AI generated video in 2 minutes. That is incredibly quick compared to traditional forms of creating, capturing, and editing video, right? So we're going to take an idea and then we're going to translate it together into video. But what I want to start with is, as always, we need to understand the technology that sits beneath our output. Because if we are not doing that and we don't understand that, we can't reverse engineer and prompt it properly. We can't give it the parameters and the variables it actually needs to move forward and create us an output that we can actually use. Because I am going to show you what a bad prompt looks like for video and what the difference is when we kind of can think about creating video with the platform that we've chosen. So today we're going to start with the technology. So how does AI create a video? And the type of technology that we are talking about today is generative AI. It is generating a output from our human language text prompt. Yeah. So the first thing it has to do is interpret that idea. So everything starts with our input. It's a text prompt, yeah? It's something that we give it like brand guidelines. It's reference images or video. It's where we select what voice or avatar that we want to move forward with. And what I want to kind of let you kind of think about is the fact that that system does not understand language the way that humans do. Yeah. Instead, what it does is it breaks it down into tokens, and then it converts those tokens into numerical embeddings, is the technical term. But if you just think about them as collection of numbers, and that collection of numbers, it knows the difference between what you're asking it, what you're representing as the meaning, the tone, the style, and the intent of your output. And then what it does is it encodes images, logos, any reference material we give it into similar mathematical representations. So I am not a numbers girly by any stretch of the imagination. But that is the way that this system understands our input. It is not reading it as though it's a text message like we're working with it. It takes that terminology, combines it into the numerical embeds, and then knows from that grouping of numbers what to do. So that's already a lot that this system is doing before it's even started to generate our output. Yeah. So if I kind of take a second and show you what tokenization looks like. So if I say something very, very quickly like hello, that actually costs the system 2 tokens and 6 characters. Yeah. And that is what hello actually looks like to the system once it has converted our language into its language. And the reason I'm explaining this is because we don't need to be nice to these systems. It's a waste of tokens. It's taking up brain space. But because it speaks back to us in this gorgeous humanized language, we feel we have to be kind and have manners with these systems. Who here says hi, thank you, like hello to their kind of systems? Okay. Yeah, and it's normal because it's very human. But if we kind of look at kind of tokenization, so can you create me I need to spell better, me a video of, yeah, that's 11 tokens and 37 characters. Now, if you think about that, if we're giving it a huge prompt, a really detailed prompt, that's a lot of tokenization and a lot of characters, yeah? Now, what we need to do is think about giving it the right data in the smallest amount of tokenizations, because that makes the tool better. So if we literally take out this pleasantry in that system, we cut down to 7 tokens. Yeah, so I want you to remember that as we kind of move forward in kind of how we build these prompts and how the system works. So we need to next set the scene. We need to kind of structure and give kind of enough for this system to actually understand. Now, what you'll see when we build the prompt in a little bit for a video rather than images, it needs different things. So before generating the actual visuals, the system plans the video structure. So this is actually dependent on the tool that you use. So this could be how we have to feed the information. So do we need to split the idea into scenes or shots? Do we need to assign durations to those kind of sections? Do we need to align the scenes with narration or music? Do we need to define the camera behavior? So, we have like static, pan, zoom, all of those things. And this is where video differs from images. The system, when we're looking at video, has to think in time, not just appearance. So some tools force us to do this, like storyboards. Others naturally do it. So you need to go and find out how the system that you're planning on using actually needs that information feeding to it. So let's go on to the next one. So now what we need to think about is we need to define the technical canvas. So what are the rules of the world that this system is generating in? Now that might sound beautifully kind of woo, but what I actually mean is before any pixel is created, we need to give it a constraint. Yeah? So what's its resolution? Because if it doesn't know its resolution, it really doesn't know where to start. What is its aspect ratio? Are we making something that is landscape? Are we making something that is square? Are we making something that is vertical? What is its frame rate? What is its clip length? Yeah? And these choices matter because video generation is extremely computationally expensive. It is high tokenization. So we need to make sure that we are giving it these constraints and boundaries so that we actually get in the first or second iteration of the output something we can actually use, or else we're just wasting AI power over and over again. So what it then does is it starts to render or create the initial video representation. And there's something that you will see a lot when you look at generative video, and it's this word called noise. Yeah. So it doesn't start with a blank frame or an empty something. It starts with random noise inside the space we have given it. So it's kind of like a compressed version of itself. If you think about static TV, very old static TV, kind of like static moving pixels, that's what it starts as. And then what it does is it uses different models. So different generative AI video models create different types of output. So again, depending on what you want, depends on the kind of technology you're looking for in your platform. Because you can use models such as diffusion models, video transformers, or a mixture, depending on. And what happens is that model gradually takes that static and starts to structure it based on what we've given it that we want and the constraints of the world we have given it, guided by those numerical groupings, our tokenization, how it turns our language into numerical groupings. Yeah. And that happens across many iterative steps. It goes back and forth, back and forth, back and forth with itself over and over and over again. And now this is where it starts to struggle, because AI is not very good at this. So it has to keep things the same over time. So I do bring up the AI fruit videos again, because they are a good example. But what you might see is that, like, Peach all of a sudden has 3 arms instead of 2 arms for like 2 seconds. And then all of a sudden that third arm goes away. It's because the AI system isn't very good at remembering what came before. So keeping the same image or kind of representation of something changing over time, it struggles with. That's why we get that really strange kind of blips halfway through AI video, because the model is trying really hard. it's trying really hard to do things like the same person stays the same, doesn't change, is recognizable as the same person. Logos don't mutate, the lighting doesn't change, objects move smoothly instead of flickering, that kind of thing. So what we have to give it in the prompts is something called temporal attention. So we have to make sure we're prompting it to always remember what we need to bring through that 10-second video, right? Yeah, so we need to be really clear of what needs to stay the same. So when this fails, you see the classic AI issues, the changing hands, the kind of melting kind of features, the jittery backgrounds, the blurring of a person into the background, that kind of thing. So we need to make sure that we understand temporal consistency in our prompt. Sounds like a lot, right? And it is, because we have to give it the information that it needs to be able to do this over time. So what it then needs to do is to decode. So it turns all of that gorgeous math that it has created, that puddle of number groupings, into pixels. Yeah. So once that video starts to become coherent, what we start to see here is that each frame becomes a standard image. So here, our motion actually exists. Composition starts to come through. The detail can be slightly imperfect, but we actually now have a video. We haven't got a video up until step 6. Yeah, it's just not probably perfect either by this point. So what then happens within these systems is something called visual enhancement and refinement. So this is where we are making it actually watchable. Yeah. So post-generation refinement improves things like upscaling, denoise, face enhancement, eye correction. There's a lot of like AI videos where like eyes tend to have their own almost like chameleon situation going on. Color and contrast kind of balancing, and actually tools do this automatically, because realistically this is what hides the limits of the generation kind of quality when it comes to AI video generation. And then if you wanted, or if you had asked the system to, it can then give it a voice. So this is the time that voice is matched with video in the kind of generation of AI video. So if audio is included, this is handled separately, and another model will come in. So then we can download it. After step 8, that is when we can actually have a tangible, publishable video. So realistically, when it comes to kind of looking at the output.
1 year ago, Sora 1 redefined what was possible with moving images.
But
today,
everything
we're announcing
in
the
this
Sora
video
app, powered by the all-new
was
Sora 2.
created by Sora.
It's the most powerful imagination engine ever built.
Kind of impressive video generation platform that
I'll pass the bill for more details.
Everything you see here is created by AI.
Now every video comes with
That's
sound.
an AI avatar. And some of this you wouldn't even recognize as AI generated, right?
Sora 2 is also the state-of-the-art for motion, physics IQ.
So when you get the kind of presentation, you can watch that whole video and actually listen to it. And what you'll notice is that if you look really hard, things will look odd. And that is because at the time that that was generated, that was the most we could do, right? That is where the limitation of the models kind of left us, yeah? But now AI video generation is embedded into all the platforms that we work within. So I want to talk to you about Canva AI. Has anyone used Canva AI for video generation yet? No? So this is, they call it kind of create a video clip. It's just part of their Canva AI. And this turns a text prompt into an actual video. It is not stock footage, because that's what was happening with a lot of AI generated video from before, that they would just chop up stock footage, piece it back together and hand it you back. It's not a slideshow of stills. It's actually a generated clip with sound built in, dialogue, sound effects, the whole lot. And you don't pay for the tokenization that this costs. It's included in your membership, in your fee. So this is a really great platform to try and work with AI kind of video, because it isn't going to take up a lot of tokenization, which is what costs when it comes to high computing power, when it comes to kind of AI generative use. And it is built on, I'll show you what it looks like. You can find it by going in your Canva all the way to Canva AI, and then it will open up this, yeah? It's built on Google's VO3, so it's a really high kind of class model, which is why the output looks very cinematic. And that's why I say you should really understand what technology is sat within your platform, because they have different types of standard output. And this is kind of like a really great way for us to kind of work with. So the output is kind of a little bit limited. We're limited at the moment to 16:9, and then 9:16 is coming soon. But of course, you could export it and then put it into frames and resize it. So it's not actually a limitation. It's just something that's coming in their kind of panel. Audio is synced in automatically at the moment. So what that means is it chooses it for you, but you can edit it after. And it's not available on the free platform. You will struggle to find free video generation purely because of the amount of tokenization it costs. There's also a 8 to 10 second limit. Yeah. So what you need to think is, are you then going to chop up a larger video into smaller chunks? The longer videos are coming in their kind of plan, but at the moment we're kind of looking there. So it's a really great place for B-roll, clip generation, not a full kind of video production. So let's do something very, very simple. A person, I don't know why I'm in caps lock, I'm shouting everywhere. A person walking through a office building in New York and sits on a computer. This is a very bad prompt, yeah? But what I'm showing you is I'm showing you the quickness you can actually start to get something that works. So it's now thinking. It can take up to 2 minutes. So I'll carry on talking just as we watch that create. Because once we kind of work within Canva, we can always drop this directly into our kind of Canva editor and add our logo, change the color balancing, add in stills and things like that, add in animations, templates, stickers, fonts, color schemes, whatever, so that the actual finished thing looks like it belongs to our brand. And that's why it's quite good to do it within Canva rather than just something that you've kind of purchased like a demo reel. Yeah. And I'm going to ask a question now. Has anybody ever checked if they can commercially use the things that they create with AI? Have you ever checked your platform kind of rules, or kind of if you can or can't use it online? No? Well, Canva, you can use it commercially. Yeah. But Canva is upfront that you may not have exclusive rights to the AI generated output. You need to check. Yeah. So as with anything AI generated, it generates based on the knowledge it is given it. Because we could ask this to create a Coca-Cola inspired ad. So even though we can commercially use it, that infringes on things like trademark and IP. Yeah. So you have to be mindful of the way that you use other well-known brands or ideas or outputs in your prompt, because you should double check the video output does not infringe on things like recreating someone else's work or having too close a likeness to that kind of thing. So let's have a look. Let's see what this kind of looks like. So bearing in mind, I gave this a very, very, very quick prompt. It's pretty good, right? Realistically. And obviously what I can then do is I can add kind of logos onto this if I wanted to. I could add things into it directly in Canva. This is a very, very bad picture of a computer. But I can add things into this space to make it look more like me over time.
Wait, Robin, I don't think, oh, again, now we can kind of see it. It wasn't showing the walkthrough.
Oh, 2 seconds. Let's reset this. Here we go. So you can see that you can directly just take it straight into the computer's just floating. That's what I added, just to show you that you can add absolutely anything into this space. So for a very bad prompt, it's quite a good video, right? Walks pretty smoothly. This person hasn't got 12 hands. Like, it's quite good. It's quite a good representation of that kind of system. So what you can also do, which is the slightly more terrifying thing with Canva AI, is you can take a picture and turn it into an avatar. So I don't like being on camera. I know you can't believe it, can you? But I enjoy being in teaching. I just don't like sitting in front of a camera and talking to nobody. And what you can do in Canva is we can upload a selfie or a photo, and then it can become a talking head. Yeah. We can actually feed it a script. We can pick a voice and it delivers the lines, and it can do it in over 40 languages. And there's also AI dubbing if we want to kind of translate an existing video rather than generate a new one. So for those people that want to still be the face of things and kind of work with a specific person to create loads and loads of videos, we can also do that. So let me show you. So you can go upload from Canva. My uploads, I'm going to find my beautiful face. We'll use this one. Add, create a video with this reference image and have me talking to the camera. Again, a very bad prompt, but I will teach you how to do a good prompt after this. I'm just showing you the technology. So I am now going to submit that. So this is a still picture. It only has one reference image of me, and then it's going to start creating that. So I'm going to carry on talking to you for a second. So this is phenomenal. This is phenomenal for quick social clips, product teasers, onboarding videos that you don't want to have to record, but you want your face in. What we need to be kind of really wary of, though, is, I don't know if you've heard of the issue with like deep fakes, because realistically, I could upload a picture of any celebrity and do the same that I'm doing with my own face right now, or I'm showing you it can do right now. And the issue with deep fakes is it not only infringes on things like IP and trademarking, but also privacy. That person has not consented to their image to be used in this way. But it doesn't stop the platform from doing it. So if you don't know that, and you don't understand what you are and not allowed to do or create with kind of AI, the system isn't necessarily going to flag that for you. And that is a problem when it comes to generative AI use. So as you could see, when we were kind of working in kind of the original kind of video, is even though it creates the sound and gives you kind of sound, you can also add your own audio in here as well. So you can even record your voiceover, add an AI voice, upload your own kind of music, or add in kind of the free licensing stuff that they have within Canva. So are you prepared? Because I wasn't prepared at how good this was. And when I retested it this morning, I was like, I don't think you would know that that wasn't me. And that's quite terrifying. That's from a video. Yeah. That's from an image, one image that I gave it to that. And just to like prove to you that it's not just because it was a good picture. We could do it with kind of anything that is kind of added in here. So let's kind of find something else, like another picture of me. So create a front-facing talking video with this reference image. And how long did that take? Well, it took like less than 2 minutes. I don't think it even took 2 minutes, actually, realistically, from the time that I pressed go in the prompt. So remember, it's taking the prompt, it's turning that into its language that it understands, it's looking back at all of its reference material. It is then starting, can you see it doesn't start with a blank space? That is actually a representation of what it is kind of like. It's then taking all of that, turning it from noise into framed images, creating a story over time, over all that temporal space kind of time, and then generating as an output in less than 2 minutes. What you can also do is do this for products and product kind of videos. You could centralize a product and ask it to change the background. You could have people interacting with your product. And this is only going to get better and better and better over time. But what we still need to recognize is I'm actually prompting them incredibly badly. Yeah, because I just want to show you the different things very quickly. But what we'll go on to in a second after I've shown you that it was not just a fluke with that one image is that we will go on to how do you build a prompt. So this is a totally different kind of view, right? I think it's terrifying. The fact that it took less than 2 minutes for Canva AI video generator to take my still image and turn it into a talking front-facing video. It's crazy. And then of course we can put that into Canva editor. And then I can add audio, or I could add whatever I wanted to on top of that. So how does that make you feel about kind of content creation in general? The fact that we don't have to have huge amounts of computational knowledge or kind of coding knowledge to generate something usable in less than 2 minutes. I think it's a turning point for a lot of organizations, having access to taking away the traditional barriers to take away that kind of budgetary impact, the time impact of product kind of videos, or kind of general kind of B-stock videos that you wanted to create specifically for your brand. But now we need to start thinking about how we actually talk to it. Yeah, and how we actually give it a prompt that would make it go from, yeah, that was okay, to truly something that you can utilize within your own brand. So this type of prompting you can take to any video generator platform. Yeah. So even though we did this session about Sora, that's fine. We can still use the same kind of prompt scheme because the models still need the same things. Yeah. So we need to define our core scene. We need to tell it what exists if we make it really simple. We need to anchor the model before anything else. So who is our main subject? What is the environment? What is the time of day or setting? Because, or else the model will just invent things. And actually, it's not that creative. So that's why we end up with a third arm. That's why we end up with like 12 fingers for no real reason. Yeah, because it's not very good at being creative. It just tries to fill the gaps that we haven't filled for it. Yeah. So a modern office workspace in the early morning. That is something as simple that can start our prompt. The next is I want you to specify the action, or if you want to think about it in another way, what changes over time. Yeah, because video equals motion. And if nothing changes over time, you may as well have a picture. Yeah, and we're teaching it what we expect to happen over time. And if we don't do that, our results will fall apart. Like our person that is moving across the screen will suddenly fly because we haven't told it that they continue to walk for that whole duration. So we need to have a simple action, start there. Start with a slow and natural movement that you don't have to explain too much as you get into the nitty-gritty of prompting. And think about having one action per scene. Try not to stack loads of things happening at once because the model will literally have a sit down and you will have the most bizarre thing that actually comes out as an output. So a person calmly typing at a desk. Yeah, so that is what changes over time. Our main subject over time calmly types at a desk. Yeah, so we've told it what exists and we've told it what changes over time. So now we need to define the camera behavior, or if you want to think about it in a very different way, how we see it. And this is one of the most important steps, and it gets skipped a lot. Yeah. So you need to kind of think about saying what kind of shot type it is. Is it wide, medium, close up? What camera movement is it? Is it static? Is it slow pan? Is it tracking our kind of main character? Is the pacing slow? Is it steady? Is it cinematic? And one little kind of tip here is if you've got a video that you really like, this works with an image too, pop the link or pop the file into something like ChatGPT or Claude and ask it, if I was a film producer, how would I describe this video? Because that will tell you the camera type of what you like. It will tell you the things that are specific to make that video that you were interested in, right? So we can have something like a slow, steady, medium shot with minimal camera movement. So we need to give it, how do we see this? How are we actually making this a thing? Yeah. And then we also need to set how it feels. So that is the visual style. And this is where our tone and our brand come in. So we can include things here like our lighting style, Are we having a level of realism? What mood or temperature or atmosphere are you bringing to the video? Don't be vague. Yeah, don't be artsy for no reason. So don't use words like innovative, because what lighting style is innovative at the end of the day? Even though we probably want our video to feel innovative, AI will just make up what it believes that is, right? And in comparison, you could just be very clear and be things like soft, natural lighting. Yeah. So as an example for the kind of how the video feels or the visual style, you can have soft, natural lighting with realistic motion, a calm, professional tone. Yeah. Now, what I want you to then do is you need to lock consistency and restraint. What must not change? Yeah. Because we do not want drift or artifacts. Artifacts are those random things that happen because the AI model needs to fill a gap that we haven't. So we need to explicitly state what is supposed to be consistent across the clip. We need to say what it cannot add to the video. And this sounds really boring, but it massively improves the output. So consistent environment and character throughout. Please do not change my character. Yeah. No dramatic effects or visual distortion. Be consistent throughout the clip. So we're telling it now what must not change. Yeah. And then the next step is kind of optional. Yeah. So we're asking it to add a duration or scene structure. So we can actually break it down. We can give it a number of scenes and information for each scene. You can give it an approximate length and the reason behind that length, and also where the video should end. So single continuous shot, approximately 8 to 10 seconds, that kind of thing. So if I was to give you a perfect prompt kind of formula to work from, we would be starting with our scene, into our action, into our camera, into our style, into our constraints. And for those that don't work within those kind of words, think about what exists, what changes over time, how we see it, how does the video feel, and what must not change. So this is the kind of perfect kind of prompt here. So a modern office workspace in the early morning, a person calmly typing at a desk, slow, steady, medium shot with minimal camera movement, soft, natural lighting, realistic motion, professional and understated tone, consistent environment and character throughout, no dramatic effects or visual distortion, a single continuous shot, approximately 8 to 10 seconds. So let's try it. Let's see how clear and clarity this actually creates our output. And it works because nothing is overloaded. We're not stacking expectations or changes. The motion is clear. The camera logic is explicit. The style is grounded. The constraints are stated. Yeah. Because some of the mistakes that you will see over time is we're listing too many actions. Yeah. We're mixing multiple styles. There's no camera instruction. It's abstract language with no real meaning. And we also can over direct in some instances. Yeah. Because we are not able to control every micro detail where we would be able to in traditional filmmaking. So if you feel that you're writing a novel, like a novel, the prompt is too complex. Yeah, we just need a very simple story. And if a human camera operator couldn't follow your instructions, the model can't either in that instance. Yeah. So as we wait for our masterpiece to render, Has anyone got any questions about prompting? Is that more than you expected to have to give the system? Is it kind of, if you've come to any of these, then you know that a good prompt is a longed prompt. Yeah, Canva is incredibly impressive in its AI kind of toolkit that it now has access to. So I highly recommend, if you log in and have a subscription, that you play around with Canva AI, especially the video kind of situation, because actually you're not paying for that tokenization. I didn't even think about camera angles and movements, so that's good to know. Yeah, because it's going to guess them if we don't actually tell it. Yeah, if we aren't giving it that whole kind of what it looks like, what it feels like, all of that kind of thing, it's going to give you the most probable version of the outcome. And we don't want to be the same as everything else, right? So she is very calmly typing. Took that very to heart, Canva AI did. But realistically, it's pretty bang on, right? Like, let's have a bigger look at this. At a very quick glance, would you recognize that that wasn't real on social media? Probably not, right? But you can see how it's really picked up on the kind of minimal camera movement. There's a very subtle change, so you know it's moving, but it's not intense. Professional, soft, natural lighting, single continuous shot. I think it's quite impressive. And she has the right number of fingers, which is always a win when it comes to AI kind of outputs. How will you rank the AI tools that you use to make videos? I would say you need to understand what your output is. So as I stated, because Canva AI uses Google VO3, it means that it slightly sways to the more cinematic kind of output, but different models and different kind of platforms will give you a slightly different output. So you need to research. I want to create this certain style of like video, and then you can kind of work backwards from there. And then there's other parameters such as cost and output. This is a short amount of video. You can of course stack them, of course. But what you can also do is kind of ask it to use one as reference, so it keeps the same character in different settings. But there are some that can create up to 10 minutes if you wanted to, but they will be more expensive because it is high computational kind of processes, which means more tokens, which means more cost. Yeah, when it comes to kind of understanding your subscription. What you can also do is ask it to give you variations. So give me a different lighting style. So we can kind of keep within the kind of same character into the evening. We can see what that does. And then you also keep that original video, and then it's creating the new version with evening light. So when we're also working in Canva AI, if we work within this window here, it retains the information of the conversation. So it means we can use the same character, the same lighting, but change the video and get a different output for that. So that brings us to the end of our session. How would you know what AI videos your audience will love? Ooh, or is it a matter of try and test? I would say that if it's product videos, they're quite easy. You can make a lot of different types of product videos against different settings and different environments. But I think it's just knowing your audience and kind of what they react to. There are certain audiences of different ages that will react to different type of videos. It's a very millennial thing. Kind of calling myself out there to really enjoy kind of talking to the camera kind of videos and things like that. So it's just understanding how your audience interacts with video over time. So we've got like an into the evening one here. So yeah, has anyone got any questions for me? I think they've all been answered during the session, I think.
Yeah, if anyone has any questions, then please do feel free to pop them in the chat.
I heard you can earn money from AI videos. Is that true? Yeah, so you can earn money from any video on like TikTok or Instagram Reels. And obviously, because AI videos are very quick to create, you don't need to pay somebody to do them. It's really easy, like the AI fruit videos, which I think I've referenced 3 times now. You can create a load of those without anyone other than yourself, realistically. And then you can have a lot of video content to be able to monetize. Yeah, it's really changed in the past 3 years. Yeah, I think it's one to watch as well, especially when we look at kind of the issues with deep fakes and things like that moving forward.
But yeah, thank you so much, Robin. If no one has any follow-up questions, that was really interesting because I have been just thinking too soon to getting into making some videos with AI, but I think it's just because you kind of see them online and I was just like, oh, let me try it out. But
Yeah,
no, so it's really interesting. Thank you so much.
it's not a problem.
Yeah, no, absolutely a lot. We were to learn from that. So we'll send out the presentation in the next couple of days. But if anyone has any questions after this, perhaps, then do please send an email to inquiries at oxfordpeg.com. And if you would like to find out more on the webinars that we do have, they'll be on the OxP AI Exchange site. But then I think that's everything for today. Thank you so much for joining. We really hope you enjoyed it, found it interesting, and we hope to hear from some of you soon. And we'll see
Yeah,
you
it's been a
next time.
pleasure.
2
See you in 2
weeks.
weeks.
Sounds great. Thanks so much, Robin.
Bye.